Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. I'm Leo.
And I'm Matt.
And we're going to be having a look at the Amazing Spider-Man today.
I'm held here against my will.
So, was it amazing?
What, being held against my will?
Yeah, and Spider-Man.
Oh, no, not particularly.
No?
No.
To give you a brief summary, if you've not seen the film, it's essentially a retelling of the origin story of Spider-Man, but done slightly differently with some mild differences compared to the Sam Raimi versions.
Just in case you hadn't seen it being redone 50,000 times before.
Well, it's only been done, on the cinema twice, you would say.
Cartoons, comic books.
Yeah, I suppose so. The difference really being that he's fighting the lizard. This is the first time we've seen the lizard on a live action screen before. Obviously, we've got Gwen Stacy as the main love interest compared to Mary Jane as well. Obviously, Spider-Man played by Andrew Garfield. First of all, what did you think of him?
Yeah, he was good. I liked him. He was kind of cooler, and he's got a lot more potential, I think, as being a likeable character.
There was a lot of,
for me.
There was a lot of some of the reviews have been quite mixed with him, because a lot of people have sort of said that he came across as quite mean and kind of unlikable.
Yeah, but he was more cheeky.
I preferred him to. He was much more. I think he was more modern.
I think Peter Parker in the comic book isn't particularly a geeky looking character. He's
not now he is.
No,
when he started, he was.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but I quite liked him. I understand some of the criticisms, but I think you got some videos where it shows you sort of clips of him being like a dick to Aunt May or whatever. And,
Well, it's a re-envisioning of the whole thing, isn't it? They're trying to tear it away a little bit from that previous character. And more to Ultimate Spider-Man, isn't it, really, I think?
Yeah, I mean, that was the original premise. I don't know how... Because in Ultimate, he's a lot younger. And originally, that's the idea of it was to be more to do Ultimate Spider-Man. But obviously, I'm not sure how old Andrew Garfield was when he made it. But I was certainly not a teenager. But what I did like was I thought the chemistry with him and... Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was good.
Yeah.
The original, I went to talk too much about the originals, but it made me hate Mary Jane.
Did it?
What's her name? Kirsten Dunst. I went off Mary Jane in the comics.
Yeah.
Well, I just went off that character.
Yeah, I had the hots for Kirsten Dunst in that particular period of time, and so for me it was alright. But I know what you mean. I quite like Emma Stone anyway. I've seen quite a lot of her films, even the chick flick movies, and with her in it. And she, that's because I'm a man of the world. And and she's alright. She's good. She's entertaining. She's not ultra hot. She's quite accessibly hot. Yeah. So I think that's quite good about her.
I suppose. Yeah.
And I'm glad they did the lizard at last, but the kind of lizard had a bit of a dog face as well. So
yeah, I mean, I must admit, I would have preferred. I mean, I know when the lizard first came in the comics, he had more of a sort of.
He reminded me more of Croc from the Batman computer game than what he did of the lizard from the comic.
No, I agree. I mean, I think obviously lizard's going to be CGI, but I don't know. I think they could have done better with the lizards. To be honest with you, I think the main problem the two main problems that Spider-Man had as a film, and to be arguably it wasn't necessarily its fault. So I challenge you to this: if Spider-Man, the original trilogy, had never come out, and this was the first Spider-Man film that had ever sort of come out, excluding the sort of the 80s one or the 70s one, whatever it was, would you have been?
Yeah,
would you have liked it?
I would have loved it. I just think it was just too soon to do a reboot of a Spider-Man film for me. Mm. So and frankly, the third of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films was just not on for my liking. It was a bit. That film was camp, to say the least.
The third one?
The third one, yeah. And Venom wasn't envisioned. And that kind of made me not interested. And then, X-Men was better, I thought, and all those X-Men films, and First Class was good, and then and then Avengers was out, and then that kind of raised the bar.
That was the one. I mean, I said it had two problems. That was, I think, one of the problems was it was sandwiched between Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
And the Dark Knight Rises was pretty pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you see a film like Avengers, which is like a world level threat essentially, and then you see Spider-Man and his threat is throwing a couple of cars off a bridge. Do you know what I mean? And it's just it seems so small scale and kind of inconsequential, really.
And on top of that, I always liked the Lizard as being the henchman to somebody else as well. They really needed to sort of bring in, I think, 2 supervillains to fill out that film properly. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but yeah, I think personally for me, they needed more to it. So,
I mean, the other issue, I think maybe it was too similar. I mean, they obviously made some changes. I mean, you notice they made some changes to the costume. You notice they made some changes to even when Ben Parker says, he doesn't say with great power comes with great responsibility, but he kind of mixes it up a little bit. But it just seemed, I think they should have not done an origin story.
Yeah, I agree.
They should have just had him
done like a little bit at the beginning, blah,
like
blah, blah.
the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because we all know Spider-Man's origin.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, there isn't any. This is the most recognisable superhero, isn't he?
Yeah,
pretty much. So, yeah, that was a waste. That was a waste of half a film, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We've already seen it. I mean, it was if you, like I said, if we hadn't seen the other ones, if they hadn't existed, it probably would have been a lot. It would have been a lot more well regarded. There are some things I like about this one. I think Andrew Garfield is still a better better Peter Parker than Tobey Maguire.
Oh, by far, yeah. I mean, Tobey Maguire was alright, but he started to grind a little bit on me. Whereas this, the new kind of take on Spider-Man's a lot more interesting. He's a lot more confident with it, whereas the other Spider-Man was a little bit it was a bit whiny. He kind of reminded me of one of those kind of anime kind of superhero type thing. No, the previous one. You know, Andrew Garfield's character, he is kind of what I look at teens as being, alternative teens being today, really. He's kind of quirky, he's a nerd.
Well, he's a hipster, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's basically what he is, he's basically a hipster. Hipster man.
Yeah, and the thing is, it goes to show that sort of, the way his character is in modern day sort of times, it's not really about being a geek or anything like that. It's there's the grey lines, isn't it? You can be nerdy and cool. And
I mean, I guess maybe that's a sign of the times, because nerdy, geeky, whatever you call it, maybe isn't quite as frowned upon as it was when Spider-Man was in his original sort of comic incantation. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, there was a definite line of in the whenever it was originally done of what a geek is and what's not a geek. But yeah. Geek is clearly quite cool now. So
I don't think he came across as maybe as intelligent sometimes as he.
No. Yeah, he did come across as a bit thick.
Yeah. I mean, yes, he invented the web shooters and stuff like that, but just his. He seemed like more of a slacker to me.
Yeah, they didn't spend.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't spend any time.
You know, Peter's in the comics it's always been quite a, very much a study. Whilst he seemed like a bit more of a kind of like you want to hang out in the shopping centre type of, and just like that kind of sort of person, which is maybe a bit out of character. Well, what about the sequels? I mean, the other thing I didn't like so much was that they kind of interconnected. And this is what it sounds like they're going to do with the sequels, is to have everyone kind of interconnected with Peter's life. I didn't like the parent subplot. It wasn't a massive plot quite in the comics. I mean, they had a story in it, but it was kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It certainly wasn't one of those ones where it was, I don't think a classic story, but... It
was no Batman, was it? Coming of age type sort of thing.
No, it seemed to me like they wanted to put something in that was not in the previous films, and that's what they chose. I think they should have gone the Sinister Six route.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Well, to be fair, everyone wants to see Venom done well for starters, which would be quite nice. If they did Carnage, that would be cool.
The problem is with Carnage, you have to do Venom, and if you do Venom, it means you're going to do essentially a remake of Spider-Man 3. That's the problem.
They're kind of chucking the book out the window anyway, aren't they? So a little bit. So I mean, you could do like the Venom Carnage thing as some sort of military experiment gone wrong at this stage.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, the problem is with Carnage as well. I mean, his character is particularly violent.
Yeah.
I just don't know if to do him well, it couldn't be a family film. Well, he's a serial killer basically.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I know a lot of people don't rate the second Hulk film, but
I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
It's actually one of my favourite Marvel films.
I think
below Iron Man and Avengers, but it's probably my third one.
I think it's good, and obviously I've always been a big Hulk fan anyway. So but I quite like the way they obviously that was kind of storyline, but they could kind of go down that route with the Venom Carnage sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I would like to see Venom done well. Because I mean, I'm a big Venom fan, and I didn't like what was done with him.
The thing is, I think if they're going to do Venom, they need to sort of develop his character early on, yeah, and not just in that film, but in like this, like if they do, you know, the second film, when they do the second film, and then on the next film,
have Eddie Brock, and maybe have the problem is with
Eddie Brock, I can't even remember if Eddie Brock even made some sort of appearance, did he?
Well, that is Venom.
No, I know that's Venom.
No, I think he was mentioned in a previous, but that was it, and even then, that was it. It was kind of like a one word.
Yeah. So
I could be wrong about
that. Yeah. So
show my Greek creds now.
yeah, but yeah. So as films go, you know, I can't wait till Sony lose a license to this film.
They never will lose a license.
I know. It's irritating.
I mean, I think the best we can hope for is, I mean, there was talk of maybe putting the Oscorp Tower in the Avengers, and they obviously know Marvel Studios or Disney are the kind of like the king of the castle in regards to these films now. So there was talk of maybe some. My personal prediction is Avengers 3 is going to be Civil War.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think will happen, and I reckon you might see a co-production to include Spider-Man in that.
They need to be pulling their fingers out and getting on that, because everyone wants that, don't they? So, and I think that's the only way at this stage that I think they can put some real power behind the Spider-Man movie franchise, because frankly,
I mean, we've got Electro for the second one,
which is cool. But
he's a henchman, really. Can he carry a film?
No,
I don't think so.
Well,
they're setting up Green Goblin for the third one. Oh, we've seen that in the first one. They've gone the wrong direction with this, I think.
Well, Electro's a little bit of a comedy villain now, isn't he? He's been sort of round the block so many times. He's even a joke in the comics. So I'd like to see some Rhino. I've always been a big fan of Rhino in all of his incarnations. He's
I'd like to see Kraven. Kraven could hold a story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, who was the bit at the end of?
That was meant to be they kind of they didn't really say, but that I think that's meant to be Electro, although it was played by Michael Massey.
Yeah.
It was actually white, and Electro is going to be black in this one.
Yeah.
You couldn't really see his face, so they can get rid of that.
So who else would I like? I don't know. I've never really been a massive Spider-Man fan, but I was excited for the first two original Spider-Man films. They were great at the time, and I do love them actually. And they're still up there as films that if I haven't got any time, I flick on a DVD and watch them. But this Amazing Spider-Man looked great. I really like the outfit. I like the actor. Everything was right.
If it came out a year before, I think it would have been so much better, well regarded.
Yeah. And like let's say, the origin part of the story is a waste of time. They could almost have done that on the intro credits.
So out of 10,
I'll give it 10 for effort.
No, you got to give it total mark. You can't say.
I'll give it a 6 then.
6 out of 10.
'Cause it is good. It is good, but being 5 being an absolute average.
I would say I'll give it a 7. So we'll average it out at 6.5 out of 10. So what did you think of the film? How did you think it compared to the previous Spider-Man films? Did you like it better or worse? Leave us a comment and subscribe to our channel and our Facebook page. See you next time.